Alright, so this is going to be the last video in our R crash course series, and then when we're done with this, we're going to go to transfer everything to R Markdown. Okay, so we will be done with the R Studio. Well, the R part, the R basic part. Alright, so in the last video we talked about how to generate your own function. Now let's talk about some built-in datasets in R Studio. Remember, when you install R Studio from scratch, it will come with lots of datasets, built-in datasets in it, and functions in it, and packages in it, right? So when you're installing R Studio, it automatically install those standard packages for you. So for instance, if you go to packages, these will be already there. So all of them was already installed when you install the R Studio. And you see there are hundreds of these packages, and each of them, so those, the one that have tick are installed. So the one without a tick, you can install them from here. But there's an easier way to install things, so we're going to use a command line for that, right? So these are the packages already installed. For instance, the stats is the name of a package. In that package, there are hundreds of functions. So what do you think stats is used for? Calculating the mean, standard deviation, Q1, Q3, and etc. So these are, again, instead of writing your own function, you use the existing function in the stats package. Okay. Also, besides from the functions and packages, in RStudio, it comes with some built-in datasets. Let's look at the built-in datasets in RStudio. So the built-in datasets, in order to call them, you have to use a function called data, open close paren, and see what we see. Again, I did nothing special. I just click on this line and just run it, Control Enter. So it's going to show me the, let me close this new R script because we don't need to work with that. We don't need to save it. So this is the R dataset. So again, these are the name of the datasets that already come with the R Studio when you install it for the first time, right? So for example, air passengers, monthly airline passengers from 1949 to 1960. And then some of the very useful ones that many people use for our tutorials is cars. So speed, stopping distance of cars, right? Or I think there is another one, empty car. Yeah, empty cars. Yeah, these are the name of the packages that people use for when you want to teach R very quickly to people. Instead of coming up with your own data sets, you use the built-in data sets in R. So for instance, empty car is motor trend car road test. Let's look at one of them. So empty car. So for instance, empty car. Look at that. The cool thing is that as soon as you start typing, if there is some specific functions or data assigned to that, RStudio is going to suggest it to you already, right? So it says that there is a data set. Look at this thing. There's a data set named empty cars. If I do car, there's a data set named cars, right? So empty cars, and I want to see what is inside the empty cars. So if I press enter, you see, this dataset is not that big, but what if you wanted to see the first 5 rows of this dataset? Remember what was the function? Head, right? So let me clear the console. Head, empty cars. So I see the head of this dataset. Do you remember we had some other very useful function? Summary, empty cars. So it says that summary for the mile per gallon for all the cars in the data sets, the average is 20 mile per gallon. Cylinder, the average is 6.1. Again, horsepower and etc. So summary is one function, head is one function, tail is another function. So these are the built-in data sets in R. Okay. And there was another function, str, structure. So what is the structure of empty cars? Tell it to me. Okay, so the structure is that it is a data frame with 32 observations and 11 variables, right? And all of them are numbers. You see, our numbers. And by the way, how can I extract, for instance, only the weight? Remember, we have different ways. I can say empty cars, dollar sign. This is how I get to the weight, right? These are the weights for 32 observations. Or empty cars. I have to know the name. W. See here, it comes as a, you remember the difference? If I do it with dollar sign, it's a vector. If I do it with bracket, it's going to be a data frame. I know that these are the name of the rows of the data frame, right? Again, what other, so call names, empty cars. I just want to see what are the name of the variables. By the way, this is a function that you're going to use a lot when you're working on your project, because you want to see what are the name of the explanatory variables, etc. So these are the name of the variables. Okay. All right. However, in the course, we're not going to use the built-in datasets in R. We're going to use the datasets available in Wooldridge package, which is the name of the author of the textbook, right? So for that, so when you install RStudio has no idea who is Wooldridge, what is Wooldridge, and why the hell does R needs to install it automatically for you. So if you want to work with it, so you have to do it on your own. So let's go ahead and do that. So we literally want to install a new package, and the package is called Wooldridge, right? So let's see how we can install a package. The command for installing a package is install, and as soon as I start typing, you see I get it, install packages. And I have to put the name of the Wooldridge, and exactly in this format, all small letter, Wooldridge. And then press enter. When you do that, you know, there's this stop sign here that says that it's going to download, so you have to be connected to the internet, by the way. So it's going to go ahead and go to CRAN community and download that package and on your computer. So you see this package was already downloaded to your computer. Now the package is there, right? So if I go to packages, I can look for Wooldridge. You see the Wooldridge is installed. Before this installation, if I search for Wooldridge, I wouldn't have seen anything, right? And look at that. There are 111 data sets from Introductory Econometrics in Modern Approach 6th edition. This is what we're using for this course, okay? Now, so I installed the package. So sorry. Okay, I installed the package. How can I get access to the datasets inside the package? You know, as you can guess, you have to call the package first. So how do I call the package? By using a function called library. So I have to go ahead and type library, and then the name of the package. So what was the name of the package? Wooldridge. Now, when I start typing, I just do Wooldridge, and it automatically suggests it to me. So I don't know if you guys realize or not, again, this is something cosmetic, but I think the developers from the first day should have been more careful with that. But it's okay, you know, they went with this theme, and now the switching cost is huge, so they don't want to fix it. When you want to install a package, you have to use it in quotation. When you want to call a package, you don't use a quotation. It's not consistent. I just wanted to let you know. All right, so library Wooldridge. Now, what happened when I run this line? And by the way, we're going to run this line here in editor, because you don't want to every single time type it in the console. When I call this, now Wooldridge has been called in this RStudio session, and now when I look at the data sets, the Wooldridge datasets are going to be listed as well. So do you remember we have this R dataset? If I call this function again, now if I scroll down, I will see datasets available in Wooldridge package. So these are the datasets in package dataset, and this automatically comes with RStudio. Now if I scroll down, go, look at that. These are the datasets in package Wooldridge. So these are the data sets that we're going to work a lot with. So for instance, in your homework, in a textbook says that use GPA1 data sets and do blah, blah, blah. So you have to call it like this. use wage data set and do blah blah blah. So this is how we get access to Wooldridge data set, right? And I will show a bunch of examples, don't worry. All right, so now that I've called this library Wooldridge, as soon as I start typing some name of the data sets that are familiar in Wooldridge package, R is going to suggest me the data sets. So if I type wage, so these are the data sets that comes in Wooldridge. So you see wage 1, Wooldridge source, wage 2, Wooldridge source, wage pen, wage percent, and etc. Right? You want to see what is inside this data set. Look at the head of the data set. So this is the head of the data set. Actually, let me make it look better. So in this data set, we have wage, education, experience, tenure, and etc. Right? So the ones that we were talking in the first class. Now here's the data. Here's the data. We can run regression. I can regress wage on education experience, look at the coefficient, look at the R-square, interpret things. And this is what we're going to deal with a lot in this course. And guys, what is this? This is a data frame, a type of an one type of an object in R, right? So it means that I can look at the structure of wage 1 data set. So it seems that it's a data frame with 526 observations, 24 variables. These are almost all of them are numerical numbers. I can look at the summary and you get the idea. So the rest is very straightforward like the other one. So, okay, we're gonna deal with these things in details later on, but for now, let's move on. Okay, one important thing is that when you install the package on your computer, you need to do it once and only do it once. Do not run this line multiple times. And the reason that I put a hashtag in it, because I just wanted to make sure that when you're running this thing on your computer, you just run it once. And when you run it, you're done with it. You just comment it out forever. At least as long as you have R and RStudio installed on your computer. Okay, now there's another package which is very useful that we're going to work with. It's dplyr. This is one of the most powerful packages. And what it does that, it brings lots of useful functions on the table that it's very good for manipulating the data frames. So for instance, sort the data frame like this, filter the data frame like this, and mutate a data frame like this. So these are the very useful functions that come with the dplyr package. So on your computer, I want you to run this line once. And again, I can run 2 lines of install packages, one for Wooldridge, one for dplyr, but I just wanted to show you that you can install multiple packages in one line by combining them using a combine function. Okay, so it really doesn't matter if I do install packages Wooldridge first and then in the next line dplyr, or just run this line once. Okay, so if you get a message like this, it wants to restart the R session within your RStudio. Let's go ahead and say that yes, because some of the packages are already running, so they need to, this is basically the dplyr thing. So it's going to install the dplyr package. It already has some dependence package that's, so these are the dependencies, rlang, v, again, don't be too obsessed with these names. Hopefully you won't get an error. If you get an error, dplyr is a pretty standard package. Wooldridge is pretty light and simple package. So installing this line should do nothing to your computer in terms of getting an error. Okay, now both the packages are installed. And then let's see what we can do. Again, so install package is going to be run only once. However, calling the libraries should be done every single time you open RStudio. So again, if I close RStudio now and open it up, I don't need to install it. It's already there. It's already in my package folder on your computer. It will be there. It will sit on your computer as long as you don't uninstall R and RStudio. However, when I close RStudio, open it up again, every single time, if I want to get access to the dataset of Wooldridge, if I want to get access to the function of dplyr, I have to call these things, okay? So we have already called Wooldridge, and we already look at the data of the Wooldridge. So let's call the dplyr package. So this is a dplyr package. Again, ignore the warnings. Actually, warnings are good things. It tells you R is trying to communicate with you, telling you what's going on. So just say that. So for instance, it says that we are attaching or uploading the dplyr package. It is masked from this package to that package, and etc. Again, depending on the version of the R you have, these warning messages may be different. Okay, so let me stop the video here. It's 15 minutes, and let me see how we should go. Okay, I'll stop the video here because let's make it short. But I recommend you. So when I come to the class next time, I will start from line 230 and talk about what are the things that we can do in dplyr package, and then go through the rest of the codes up until actually to the end of it. And then we are going to solve one of the homework questions, I guess, in the class, which has something to do with this Wooldridge data sets. And yeah, I'll talk about how to use table, what are these functions in the class. So, however, as an exercise, I want you to, I may go ahead and somehow simplify these files. But again, I try to put it as a reference for you there. So I'll leave it like that. But I want you to, as an exercise, to go ahead and run line 230 to this 330-ish at home and try to figure it out on your own. Okay, so this is a very good exercise. I know it's going to be challenging, it's going to be frustrating, but let's see how far you can go. Okay, give it a try to understand it on your own, and then I'll come to class and we will work on it together in the classroom setup. Okay, let's finish this one. In the next video, I'll cover R Markdown very quickly.